Fruitful Living with Sissel Anderson. Here on Morning Joy, where truth matters.
Welcome back to Morning Joy, where truth matters. I'm your host, Keith Downey, and this morning we're going to be talking about having, at least the importance of having older and wiser people in your spiritual life and how to discern the best person for that specific role with Sissel. Good morning, Sissel.
Good morning, Keith. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. This is a great conversation to have because I feel like anybody could really need someone in that role to help get us through some of the hard and difficult times, especially in one's spiritual life.
For sure. To start the conversation, let's just talk about advisors in general. Like we all have people in our lives and we've had them in different stages of our life to help us with different things. And, one of the greatest gifts I think my parents were able to give my siblings and I is some wisdom on how to discern advisors. Because they recognize my parents did a lot of things on their own. A lot of life circumstances caused us to not be near family, we weren't part of like a church community for a very long time. So a lot of things they did on their own, and they recognized what things they didn't know,
Mm.
and how important it was for them to find people that they could truly trust to help them in different areas of their life. And so first off, before we get into, just someone who's spiritual help in your life, older and wiser, let's kind of just break down, that they're, well, let me put it this way. I am a firm believer that we can learn something from anyone in our life. Every single person we encounter, we can learn something from them. But what's important is that we don't have to learn everything from the same person, in a lot of ways. So I say this because more often than not, we put our trust, we maybe are getting advice from people that maybe wouldn't be the best for certain circumstances to get advice on. I think that's can be a touchy subject, especially in today's culture, being like, how could you, say that you can't ask advice from this person? It's like, oh, it's just a little bit of common sense. Like if I'm not going to go to someone who, like, someone should not go to me on how to organize their house because I'm terrible at organizing. Like, they should not go to me for that advice. And that's totally fair. That doesn't say anything about me as a person, but that's just, you shouldn't go to me on this. And sometimes, so my parents were very big on having us look at people, and be like, okay, well, look at their lives and things like that and see, like, what can I learn from them? And there may be some things you're like, you know what? I don't think the way that they do this is the best, or the way that they handled this. Or maybe they're just going through a stage in their life where this is not the time to get advice from them. And it could be, like I could have, friends in high school who maybe were on their, sixth relationship of the month. Maybe not the person to ask a relationship advice from. And again, that's like, people are like, that's rude, but no, that's legitimate to be like, okay, this is not the person who I should be asking right now. So there's different types of that we can learn something from everyone. Whether it be like, how to decorate a table or host, you can learn those sort of skills from somebody, on the lesser level of things. And then there's also, how to be a good friend. You can learn from people. But so those are some things, just kind of categories I think about when it comes to having mentors. And I'm sure, Keith, maybe you're thinking of some people in your lives that you've learned maybe a couple of tidbits of wisdom in different areas from.
Yeah, I mean, one that immediately comes to mind is it's actually Debbie Georgianni, because my experience in radio has been very little up until this point with just joining on Morning Joy, and so she's been kind of my mentor, my radio mentor throughout this whole process. So it's she's incredible, full of wisdom, absolutely.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I don't know all of Debbie's skills. She's a very skilled lady in a lot of things, but maybe woodworking wouldn't be one of them. So maybe you wouldn't ask her about woodworking, or maybe it is. I'm so sorry, Debbie, if that is the case. Like, text me, let me know that you are a woodworker, and I will take back that sentence. But I think about also like going through a lot of my teen and young adult years. I don't know if you've seen this like internet trend or this word that we've created recently. So the word delusional. There's
Yeah,
now this thing to say delulu. And I don't know if you've heard that or not. It's very silly,
yeah,
but it's kind of the idea being like, there's like a lot of memes where it's like me and my best friend, being delulu with one another. In other words, where one person is like, oh, you should do that. You would totally, you should enter this competition. You totally win. Or that guy totally likes you, even though there's really no great sign for that. And they're just like, yeah, you could totally get him. And it's kind of like me and my friend being delulu with each other. it's kind of fun and it's goofy, but there's also some real things behind that, and that maybe that's not always the most helpful advisor to have in your life, who's not being realistic and honest with you in some of those things. So let's get into then more on the importance of having someone or multiple someones in your life that you can go to, um, and and it takes a while sometimes to find this person. Maybe you don't have that, but specifically, I hope that there's someone in your life that who is maybe a little bit older than you. Doesn't necessarily have to be, but generally speaking, we mature with age, who is a little bit further ahead in spiritual life, and has been, practicing prayer and faith for longer than you have, or maybe more intensely than you have, that you can go to for pretty much most situations. That
Mm.
you could go and you have something come up in your life, and you're like, I just really need someone else to help me discern this, to help me even interpret my prayer. There's very formal, in the Catholic Church, we have spiritual directors. Not everyone has them, but they're a beautiful resource that we can have. But there's also, more informal, which is holy people that you know in your lives. And I'm very blessed to have someone like that where I could pretty much go to for every situation. And, she will slap me down when I'm not being super smart or not looking at things correctly, encourage me when I need to be encouraged. But how bad would it be if I went to 5 or 6 different people about something pretty serious in my life and was just getting the gambit
Mm.
of of different responses, or just getting everyone's advice? Because we all love to get asked advice, and like to say what we want to say things, and sometimes maybe that's just not an area that we should maybe be advising on. And often sometimes too, it's really really easy for us when we're looking for a particular response, to go from person to person until you hear the answer that you want. And so that's another important reason of having one person who knows you very well, who
Mhm.
can, is a very prayerful person, who can call you out when you need to be called out. Because otherwise, I could find somebody in my life to give me the answer that I want them to give me, you know?
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I'll ask someone a question that I know that they're going to give me like a legitimate answer, not something that I want to hear, because which is can be challenging in itself, because maybe you don't want to hear the truth and you just want to hear what you want to hear. So I get it.
No, and you kind of know, you can kind of recognize it in yourself, hopefully, if you realize you're avoiding talking to this person about something, because you kind of know what their answer is going to be,
Mm.
but you kind of want to put it off a little bit. But this is something that has been around forever. Like all of our holy friends, if you think about it, some people that come to mind, who had advisors, you think about, like, St. Francis de Sales advised,
Mhm.
spiritually, Jane Frances de Chantal. She was someone, she went to him for a lot of different things. You also have like Saint Catherine of Siena advised a lot of people, actually, like popes included.
Mhm.
And how beautiful it was to have that, because there's a verse, I think I want to say it's in Proverbs, I'm sorry if I'm wrong about that, but iron sharpens iron. And so the
Mhm.
importance of being with somebody who will sharpen you, is so important. And I think Proverbs also says something along the lines of plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed. And so there's a little bit of a stubborn streak, I think, in most of us to do things are alone. And certainly there are
Mm.
times there are times when there's very sensitive issues where, again, you're not trying to go out and tell everyone in the world, I'm having this struggle with this family member. I kind of want to hurt this person right now because they're really annoying me.
Right.
That would not be wise to go and talk to a bunch of different people about that, because that's not fair to your family. It's not good. It kind of poisons people's minds on someone. But one person who has a devout prayer life, who can look at things objectively and help you out in this when you're just going through a rough patch, and will not hold it against the person, that is something that is so invaluable. And I really pray that you have that person. And if you don't, maybe start praying for one today, for God to show you who that might be in your life. And of course, we have family members. We have the close family that you could maybe have this person be. But I'd recommend that sometimes you need someone outside of the family too, just to
Mhm.
kind of get, again, less emotionally invested in whatever is going on. And like I said, sometimes you need that person who just kind of metaphorically slaps you down a little bit and helps you if you're going off spiritually, if you're not thinking about something straight. It happens to me all the time where I think that I am, thinking about a situation clearly. And then someone's like, well, did you think about that? And I'm like, oh, no, I didn't, in
Nope.
fact.
Nope. Well, yeah,
Uh,
it really is important to have these people in your lives, and I think too, looking towards your parish, if there's a men's group or women's group, where maybe you know them, but you don't have the strong relationship, so that they can get this outside angle or view to help you through whatever situation. You just need to be just a little vulnerable, in order to share some of the information if it's more personal.
Oh, yes, for sure. So pray, look in your parishes, like Keith is saying, there's lots of people who are a wealth of wisdom. And then, of course, just always be open to learning things from everybody.
Mm.
We all are a resource to each other. God has put us all together. So whether it be that you need help with woodworking, there's probably someone in your life that you can help ask for that too. We're really tempted to always go to the internet for everything, and never, we miss out on the beauty of asking someone in our lives, of being vulnerable, even with something maybe as silly as woodworking. Not that woodworking silly, but not as serious. That you could ask for help from, and what a beautiful bond that could be, and could lead to getting wisdom in other ways, in other areas of our life too. So being open to being helped is a really big part of it, and asking for that help. So pray to God to give you the mentor that you need in your life, to help you get to heaven.
Yeah, well said. I've got a lot of woodworking questions for Debbie. I'll make sure to send those to her. But thank you so much, Sissel. For those out there, you can also catch Sissel on Back to the Father. That's Friday afternoons, 1 p.m. Central on YouTube. Just search GRN online and you'll find it. That's 1 p.m. Central on Fridays. But thank you so much, Sissel, once again. And that is the end of our first hour of Morning Joy, where truth matters. Now, if you're unable to stick around with us after this quick little break, we'll also have the second hour ready for you, either on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube and Rumble. For those that are listening on Catholic Spirit Radio, you've got your Carathon coming up. Very exciting stuff. Stay tuned for that. But for everybody else, we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Eastern. Make sure to make it a joyful day. Otherwise, if you're staying with us, hang tight. In the second hour, we're going to be talking with Steve Oth all about guiding souls through sacred art in a brand new book, Visions of the Divine. And once again, tomorrow on this time, Alan Smith will be joining us for Bishop Sheen today. But yes, if this is us parting ways, God bless, make it a joyful day, and we'll see you right after this break.
This has been Morning Joy, where truth matters, hosted by Keith Downey. Take some joy with you today. Visit grnonline.com/joy to listen again, share a segment, or answer the question of the day. That's grnonline.com/joy.